Welcome to Everyday Podcast. Let's talk. This is your host Mohammad Afan, and today we are doing a special episode regarding women healthcare. And we have Mahnoor Farishta, who is the founder and CEO of Khair, a female health, hygiene, and healthcare startup. Manu, let's talk about your company. Before we do that, we need to talk about something about you. Who is Mahnoor?
That's a tough one, but hi, thank you, Afan. Thank you for having me here. Who am I? I don't know. I grew up in Pakistan till I was 16, and then I moved abroad to the UK. And for me, I feel like living abroad, I always realized that if I ever was to move back, I would do it because I wanted to come here and kind of, I know it sounds a bit cliche, but give back to my country. And if I didn't do it, who would? So I feel like Mahnoor, me, as a kid, I always had that sense of like privilege, guilt to some extent. And that is kind of what motivated my journey, my career, and I guess where I am today. So I moved back to Pakistan almost 5 years ago now. And I honestly, I have no medical background. I have no background with anything to do with healthcare. I studied economics and politics at uni. I worked at Deloitte in London. I worked in advisory and consulting. Nothing to do with what I'm working here and what I'm doing. But for some reason, somehow, like I always say, the universe brought me here. So yeah, that's kind of in a nutshell, that's who I am. And when I moved back, that's when I realized, okay, that the amount of work I can do here, even if it's a little bit, can create a lot of impact. And for me, that was always, the goal was to create generational impact, especially for women. And that's kind of the ethos of Khair today. Yeah. So that's me.
Right. So, Manu, let's talk about, you talk about founding Khair, you talk about making an impact. Let's talk about the current landscape of, healthcare in Pakistan and especially for female.
So it's very bleak. I'm sure that's not surprising to most of you, but healthcare in Pakistan is definitely worse than we expect. So when I moved back, I started working for a telemedicine company and predominantly focused on women's healthcare, bringing doctors into the workforce, providing women with access to telemedicine or digital healthcare. And in that journey, for me, when I started, I didn't know much about healthcare. And now everyone I hire, Khair, it's very funny because for the first month, it's not funny, it's sad and tragic and devastating. But for the first month, they just spend that time on research about women's healthcare statistics, and it's so depressing. And that was my first month working at the first company I worked at in Pakistan, and I realized how horrible this was for women. Access to healthcare is far worse for women, and the more, that's understood, right? True. But when it comes to basic things, like not only access, awareness is a problem. And with Khair, our focus is really you combat awareness and access together. And how that really works is women in Pakistan, like one statistic I love to repeat is that over 50% of women do not have a say in their own healthcare decisions. So what that really means is at a family level, health decisions are delayed. And because they're delayed at a family level, because women don't have awareness about what's happening to them, they don't have that, like we say, empower women with education and awareness. Because they don't have that, this results in delayed decision making at the family level, which worsens diseases over time. So the tertiary care system in Pakistan, the burden is much worse.
Right.
And that is just one statistic. Women's healthcare on the whole, now you talk about rural healthcare, it's much worse, right? So in women's healthcare on the whole is such a neglected part of society, I like to believe. And then with Khair, our focus was, okay, we're going to...
Before we move on, let's talk about, talk about the landscape, we talk about urban and rural. Let's talk, before moving on, was that the purpose founding Khair?
What do you mean, in the sense that urban, rural, in what way?
Do you saw the opportunity there where you can really make an impact? That's what the reason that led to you? Or was it just something that happened to you?
So a lot of things. One was I found myself working in healthcare. I realized over time that when I stopped working at the first company, I realized the solution to solving healthcare problem in Pakistan, like to solve a lot of problems, is technology. So I started understanding the technological landscape, especially for women. And then we started realizing that when it comes to rural, urban, no doubt, rural healthcare is completely ignored.
True.
But the way we give back to rural healthcare with Khair is like through our donation scheme, which I'll talk about as we go on in this conversation. But my main focus is you want to help everybody, no doubt. True. But you can't help everybody on day one, right? So our focus and our priority within Khair at the start is, in Pakistan, there are 80 million women of a reproductive health, like reproductive age. So women who get their period, there are 80 million of them.
All
30
right.
million, it's a huge population, we forget.
True.
30 million of those women, we approximate, or according to as much data as we can estimate, do not have access to menstrual hygiene products. That means they use kapra. And this is a lot, predominantly your rural population, right?
True.
But there are still 50 million women across major cities, also including some rural women, that have access to smartphones.
All right.
So when we say 50 million women of a reproductive age, let's restructure. So 80 say 30 chala gaya. 50 million women is your subset, right? It's your larger population set you want to impact. Then we approximate at least half of them, in most cases more of half, are active smartphone users, right? So if we at the start target the active smartphone users through awareness, that's through our application, which is free.
Like, how does Khair really work? Matlab,
I'll tell you how Khair works. I think that's a better way to do it. So we're an app. We're a healthcare solution, women's application.
ठीक है.
We're Pakistan's first femtech. So if you guys heard the first femtech is a buzzword that goes around the world. Femtech is a specific form of, or like a subset of health tech that focuses on women's healthcare, fertility, period tracking, sexual health, reproductive health, all of that under one umbrella. So we are the first femtech company to come out of Pakistan. And what Khair really works is, it's an application. We are Pakistan's first period and pregnancy tracking app with subscription-based menstrual hygiene products.
All right.
So what we did was, and when you purchase 6 packets of pads through Khair, and the app is free. We only charge for the product, or what we like to call a Khair package. So we say, we want to give women Khair during your period. So our hashtag is Khair se period, right? So that's the idea, is that every time you buy 6 packets of pads through Khair, we donate 2 packets of pads to girls and women from lower income backgrounds who can't afford them. And that's how we give back to your rural population that's not in the doesn't have access to these products. And what's very important about this journey really is that you eventually focus on expanding that bracket of women that have awareness about not only menstrual hygiene products, but access them over time, right? And there's a lot we do. One is just, this is the landscape and this is the ecosystem of Khair. But a lot of our focus is actively going to communities and providing health awareness sessions on feminine health and hygiene, depending on the population we're speaking to. So with the way we speak to, obviously, girls from a village and girls from a factory would be different to girls in a corporate office.
All right.
But awareness is needed everywhere.
True. Right. So, you talk about awareness, getting the product, giving back to the society as well. Matlab, how do you make sure those products are accessible and at the same time affordable for all the people who are purchasing it?
So the one who purchasing it. So we're partnered with local organizations right now. So we've partnered with Santex from Butterfly. Right. At the start, our focus has always been partner with local. Like Santex is fully local, it's pad made in Pakistan, and it's affordable because it caters to socio-economic class A, B, C, and moving forward D also, right? Because they have a range of products.
All right.
So we are as affordable as buying a product in a market, right? In the shop. The reason why we encourage people to buy it from Khair is because our platform is free and it's not just a period tracker, but you get awareness on different gynecological disorders and diseases in Pakistan. So period tracking is very important because you can use technology to actually understand what your cycle, trends in your cycle. If there's any anomalies going on, these can be detected earlier. And our main focus with this platform, and I'm sure a lot of health tech or healthcare platforms, is preventive health, right? If we increase preventive health through awareness in Pakistan, that means my disease won't be worsened enough that main bimar ho jayega, hospital mein jana padega, right?
True.
And that is something that's very important.
All right. So that's interesting, talking about that. But let's talk about, your service has doing good. How's the feedback coming in? What do you think that people have given you any feedback? Have you done any research on that or survey regarding?
Obviously, I launched an app, so I definitely did a lot of research. I didn't just
on the feedback,
I just launched an app overnight. The focus has been a lot of research, a lot of conversation, a lot of feedback, and I have a very small team, and I'm fully self-funded. So what I did was when I moved back, I put all my life savings into Khair.
Bootstrapped.
Yeah, bootstrapping hard, and as you have to do. But what our focus has been is I don't have a fancy tech team and design theorists and UI UX designers that can tell me what to build and what not to build. So we build everything ground up. So we have a very small team, and what we do is when we launched the application, it was actually amazing, mashallah, that we've been running a health blog, khair.pk, for over 2 years. So we have a decent following, traction from women.
True. I did see your blog.
Yeah.
It's an interesting, what
So
you're doing
it's
there.
all about health awareness. This is how actually I started during COVID. I started Corona Ration Project, which was a random Instagram, Facebook post from me sitting at home being like, my maid came up to me and she said, Baji, sab keh rahe hain COVID hai, Corona hai. राशन बल्क में खरीदें मगर हमारे पास पैसे नहीं है बल्क में खरीदने के लिए. So I started a campaign and we raised over 10 crore rupees just through a Facebook post. It went viral. I received all this money. So what I did then was started working with charities and organizations on the ground in Karachi, in Hyderabad, in Alipur, in Thatta, in Thar, across, and I created my own network where I would provide these organizations with ration relief. And when that started happening, I realized, okay, कोविड का अवेयरनेस दे रहे हैं बट प्रिडोमिनेटली ये फीमेल पॉपुलेशन है, इनके पास बेसिक हेल्थ और हाइजीन की अवेयरनेस है नहीं. तो विद कोविड एंड राशन वी स्टार्टेड डूइंग हेल्थ अवेयरनेस हाइजीन एंड दैट्स हाउ आई स्टार्टेड माय रिसर्च ऑन खैर from different subsets of women from across various socio-economic backgrounds. And then over time, eventually as we expanded, we were like, why not do this? We were sitting at home in lockdown, so we started the blog and that took off. So when I launched Khair in November 22, within the first month and a half, it was unprecedented. We got thousands of women downloading application, and I have, when you say bootstrapping, I mean organic downloads, zero marketing spent. So thousands of women started downloading application, signing up to the application, giving us feedback, and all the feedback that we did receive, we then update our application accordingly. So it's very bootstrapped, but the idea is you have to make a product here that people use very efficiently and very effectively. So the best way to learn and develop an app is through feedback.
Right.
Yeah.
So, that you talk about a lot about awareness. But let's talk, is that the biggest challenge Khair faces? Awareness?
I mean, there's a lot of challenges being a female founder, talking about women's healthcare, talking about periods, taboos, societal stigmas that are so deeply entrenched. They're all issues, right? But at the end of the day, yes, when it comes to the mindset we have to change is awareness, and it's very well received. Women are very happy, no matter what socioeconomic background you're from. Women are very happy to learn more about their body because that is empowering, right? It's like, for us, we say we empower through awareness, we empower through health, we empower through knowledge. So that's one of the challenges. But over time, we like to believe that the more frequent use of our application, and right now it's in Urdu, Roman Urdu and English. Inshallah, after we raise capital, our aim is to have it in all regional languages and have it in video and sound content. So we're catering to a population that is, if they can use TikTok very easily, they should be able to use Khair very easily, right?
So that's an interesting
So, yeah, and it's very fun. Actually, we go to girls' schools in Liari sometimes, and they all follow us on TikTok and Instagram, and then they all send us content, and it's very interactive. So for me, as a founder, it's very important. Like even today, we were at a health session. It's very important to have, even as much as I can physically, go to those sites and speak and engage with people using Khair, just so we learn and just grow better.
Right. So, before we move on, there is this rapid fire round that we created for you.
Yeah.
And so let's talk one word, whatever comes to your mind. Khair.
Khair. Healthcare. No, wellness.
Acha. Sex education in Pakistan.
0.
Acha. Female hygiene.
Bare minimum.
Family planning.
0.
Acha. Financial literacy.
It's for women. It's really not there.
Acha. IB today.
Interesting.
Right, so moving towards the end of the episode, I wanted to ask you, what advice that you give young female going through who don't want to talk about this with your families, what they go through every day. What advice would you give them?
I mean, that's not every day, every month, but not advice. I feel like I'm not here to give people advice. I think there's a lot as women that we can do together, and I feel like that has changed. So my dadi would never say the word period out loud, and I go to every podium in Pakistan and talk about periods. It's a generational change. That is something that's important in this generation today. A lot of women are talking about it, but what's very important, I think, is to know and understand that if we don't talk about I want to talk about the repercussions or the negativity if you don't talk about it, right? Like if you don't talk about period pain, if you normalize period pain, and you end up thinking, औरतें बोलती हैं ना सबको होता है बर्दाश्त करो, this concept that we hear, if you don't talk about period pain, if you don't talk about these issues and you normalize them, we can't detect problems, gynecological disorders in the Pakistani population, and that not only affects standard of life for women on the whole, it affects life expectancy. But Pakistan is one of the riskiest nations in the world to bear a child. It's a fact.
And then we have the highest fertility rate as well.
And we have crazy fertility. So imagine now these girls are married young. They don't have access to easy contraceptive. They don't even know what ovulation is. Now, do you guys know what ovulation is?
No.
Okay, this is a great time to grace some awareness, because ovulation is during a period cycle. A girl can only actually conceive during a time when she's ovulating, right?
Okay.
Now, women have no idea. So they try to have kids for years. They can't have kids. The sad part in society is men assume that isko bachcha nahi hota aur dusri shaadi kar lete hain. It's really nothing to laugh about. It's very sad. And the problem is because it just stems from a lack of awareness. So that's natural contraception. If you look at anything else, in Pakistan, girls are married young. They have so many kids. Now imagine what your body goes through every time, miscarriages or children. So women die younger. It's the sad reality that we live in. And then on the other hand, when girls are getting their period, over 50% do not know what a period is when they're getting it. So you start from the life cycle of a woman at a period. Our focus with Khair is you focus on the entire life cycle of a woman. So periods, pregnancy, and inshallah, we're looking at menopause as well. You want to focus on providing awareness and then easy access throughout life of a woman, so she knows, okay, fine, at the end of the day, I might not have easy access to a female doctor, but I have this app on my phone that can help me out and provide me access to doctors.
Right, so do you have any plans to produce hair products as well?
Yeah, so that's inshallah the goal. We expand into a range of menstrual hygiene products at scale. Hopefully, let's see how that goes. And on top of that, our other next step is we have access to female general practitioners, GPs, and at scale we want to expand into gynecologists and other female doctors as well. So you have mother and child specialists, lactation specialists, dermatologists, anything linked to a woman, what the woman needs for healthcare. And Khair, we say it's not just pads. Khair package, it's not just pads. The idea is, if you order, you should definitely order it for your sisters and your wives. And the idea is provide them with Khair is because we've linked it to chocolate for cravings and pimple patches and hair oil. And every couple of months we have a different add-on to kind of make this something like a care package. And because the idea is, in Pakistan, if you ever gonna buy pads, I'm sure none of you guys have, but if you ever go to buy pads in this country, you have, yeah. So what happens is a man follows you around with a brown bag to put this pad in. And I get pissed. I'm like, yahan dekh sakte hain, mere liye, mere haath mein nahi dekh sakti. And that I just don't understand, right? So our job, so what we did with Khair is build that additional convenience. If your period is tracked, your menstrual hygiene product should be delivered to your doorstep according to your period date. So you don't have to wait, because in Pakistan also a lot of women depend on male family members to buy pads for them.
True. That's a general phenomena, and that's something
we're trying to combat. Yeah.
True, right.
And then it comes in a nice brown box because brown paper bags. So we're trying to demystify
interesting.
it.
Yeah, that's an interesting strategy. Yeah. And I love the conversation. If you want to add something in,
I think that's about it. We can send the information about Khair to you, so you can get people to download it. What I want to say is it's very difficult to raise capital right now. It's very difficult It's very difficult to generally grow your platform, and mashallah, Allah is kind. It's been a long journey, difficult journey, but we've had a lot of support from men and women. So I want to encourage the students at IBA, if you can support us, download the application. It's free, and not only for students, but tell the women who work in your houses, tell your family members, tell everyone, all the women in your lives, we say, is because a little bit of awareness can actually help save someone's life.
True, that's great, and that's a great advice that you gave to young students. All those who watched the episode, I hope you loved the episode. I certainly did. I learned today something, and I really enjoyed that, and I hope it helps me as well and helps the people around me as well. So thank you. Allah Hafiz.